The bag in the corner of the sun had started to fade behind the Hollywood Hills when the last scene wrapped. The sound of soft claps and scattered voices echoed around the quiet set. Most of the crew had already packed up their gear and left for the night. Only a few lights remained on, casting warm glows across the dim room. Keanu Reeves stood still near the old prop wall, watching shadows stretch across the floor. Something didn't feel complete. Not about the scene. Not about the day. Not about her. Ana de Armas had left hours ago, or maybe just minutes. Time felt strange lately. She had been quiet during the shoot. Too quiet. Even when she smiled, something felt missing. Her laugh was softer than usual. Her eyes didn't meet anyone's for too long. Keanu noticed because he always noticed. Not because he was nosy, but because he cared. As he turned to leave, something stopped him. A bag. Not just any bag. A soft brown leather tote with a faded pink ribbon tied to one of the handles. It was sitting on a wooden chair in the corner of the room, untouched, forgotten. He walked toward it slowly. It looked familiar. It was hers. Ana always carried it, always guarded it. He had seen her hold it close on flights, on quiet car rides, even backstage before big interviews. It wasn't fancy or new, but it meant something to her. And now, it sat alone. He looked around. The crew was gone. Her trailer was empty. She had clearly forgotten it. He reached out gently, placing his hand on the soft strap. He didn't want to invade her privacy, but he also didn't want to leave it behind. What if she needed it tonight? What if it had her medicine or her diary or something she couldn't sleep without? He picked it up. It was heavier than it looked. He took one step toward the exit, then paused again. Something shifted inside the bag. It wasn't a laptop, not books. It felt like loose papers and small objects. And then he heard a sound. Soft, metallic. A small clink, like something had moved inside. Maybe a key. Maybe a charm. He hesitated, unsure what to do. But then he remembered Ana's eyes from earlier. The way they looked distant. The way her hands trembled when no one was watching. Something was wrong. He had felt it all day. And now this bag felt like a clue she had accidentally left behind. He sat down on the nearby chair, bag in his lap. The leather was warm from the studio lights. He opened the top slowly, carefully. Wasn't being nosy, just wanted to help. The first thing he saw was a small Polaroid photo. It was old, worn at the edges. A young girl stood barefoot in a garden, smiling at someone behind the camera. Beside her was a woman holding a basket of apples. Both looked happy, free. The girl was Ana. He was sure of it. The woman he guessed was her mother. Keanu stared at the photo. It was beautiful, soft, honest. Then he noticed writing on the back. Faded pencil strokes read, "When the world forgets you, remember this smile." He put the photo aside gently. Next, he found a folded letter. It was addressed to no one. Just a name scribbled at the bottom, Elena. Never, never. Mentioned in Elena. He unfolded the paper slowly. It was written in Spanish. A mix of printed and cursive. The paper smelled like lavender. It's like old perfume. He didn't read much, just enough to understand. It was a goodbye letter, or maybe a confession. It spoke about pain, about promises broken, about someone who left. Without warning, and someone who stayed behind, was trying to forgive but never forgetting. His heart tightened. He didn't know the full story, but the words bled with sorrow. He gently placed the letter back. Underneath it all, tucked in a soft side pocket, was something unexpected. A necklace. Not gold, not silver. Just a simple thread with two tiny metal charms, one shaped like a key, the other like a broken star. Both looked handmade. Both looked worn. They clicked gently when he moved them. The sound was soft, almost like a whisper. It gave him chills. He closed the bag slowly. He didn't want to see more. Not tonight. What he had seen was enough to know. One thing, Nana was not okay. Not really. She was carrying stories in that bag. Memories stitched into every pocket. Pain folded into every note. Keanu sat quietly, bag still in hand. He didn't feel right leaving it at her door. He didn't feel right keeping it without. Telling her, But one thing was clear. No, she needed someone. Not a fan, not a co-star. Not a friend who smiled only when cameras were around. She needed someone who would sit with her in silence. Someone who wouldn't ask for explanations. Someone who would stay. And maybe, just maybe, he could be that someone. He stood up slowly, the bag still pressed to his chest. The studio lights flickered once, then dimmed fully. The night had come, and so had something else, an unspoken promise. He walked toward the exit, but his mind stayed behind. In that chair, in that letter, that smile captured by an old Polaroid camera. What he didn't know was this. Anna had left the bag on purpose, but not for the reason he thought, and what she would say tomorrow would make him question everything he believed about her story. The letter she never meant to send. Next morning, Keanu sat on his balcony with the bag beside him. The city was waking up below. Cars moved like whispers. Birds flew across soft clouds. But his mind stayed quiet. His fingers rested on the strap of Anna's forgotten bag, like it was something sacred. He hadn't slept much. Not because of what he saw, because of what he felt. Something inside him had shifted. He didn't know how to name it, but it was real. He had told himself. He would return the bag first thing. No questions, no pressure. Just a quiet moment and a kind hand. But now he wasn't so sure. Something in that photo, in that letter, in those little charms, they stayed with him. Like they were asking him not to let go just yet. He finally stood up. The sun warmed his shoulders as he stepped outside. He didn't call first. He didn't text. He just walked. The bag over his shoulder, the wind soft around him. His steps slow, but sure. Anna lived just a few blocks away, a quiet apartment tucked behind trees. She liked simple places, spaces that didn't scream. He reached her building and paused at the front gate. He looked up. Her window curtain was half drawn, no sign of movement. Rang the bell gently. Once, twice, nothing. He waited a minute, then walked back slowly, unsure what to do now. Halfway down the sidewalk, he heard the door creak open behind him. He turned. She was standing there. No makeup, its oversized sweater, eyes puffy like she hadn't slept either. Her expression wasn't surprised. It wasn't even confused. She just looked at him like she already knew. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at the bag in his hand. Her lips pressed into a tight line. "You left this," Keanu said softly. Anna nodded once. No smile. No thank you. Just silence. "You forgot it on set," he added. She stepped forward, took the strap gently from his hand, and held the bag like it was something heavy. "Did you look inside?" she asked. Keanu froze. He didn't want to lie, and he didn't want to say too much. He just looked into her eyes and gave a small nod. She didn't flinch. She just sighed. Like she had expected that too. "I thought about that all night," she said, voice barely above a whisper. Whether someone would see it? Whether it was time? Time for what? Keanu asked. She didn't answer right away. She motioned for him to follow her inside. The apartment was quiet. Soft light filled the room. Plants lined the windows. A kettle hummed on the stove. She placed the bag gently on the coffee table and sat down on the couch like the weight in her chest had. "Followed her home. The letter," she said, looking at her hands. "I wrote it 3 years ago. I never sent it, never showed it to anyone. It was just something I needed to write to survive that time." Keanu sat across from her, elbows resting on his knees. "Alina," he said slowly. "She was." Sister Anna finished. "You didn't know." "No one does." Keanu stayed quiet. He didn't need to speak. He knew the moment was delicate. It wasn't about offering words. It was about holding space. "She died in Havana," Anna said. "Before I came to America, she stayed behind with my mother, left thinking I could bring them both someday. But before I even made my first film, Alina got sick. We didn't have the money. I begged, I cried, I sent everything I could. But I was too late." Her voice cracked, but she didn't cry. Her eyes just stared at the floor. "The photo," Keanu whispered. Anna nodded. "Our last day together. It was hot and sticky, and we laughed for hours. She told me not to be scared, that the world would be hard, but my heart would be louder. I didn't understand it then. Now I do. Keanu leaned forward. Why carry the letter with you still? Yana smiled faintly. Because some pain needs a home, not to hide it, but to remember it. I guess that bag became my place of memory, my place of grief. Keanu looked down at the floor, letting her words settle. He thought about his own grief, his own silences, the things he never said to anyone, not even his closest friends. He understood her in ways he didn't expect to. I'm sorry I looked, he said finally. Anna shook her head. No, I think I left it on purpose, that sentence. Hit like wind through trees, soft but shaking everything inside. Why? Keanu asked. Because yesterday I felt like disappearing, she said. But when I saw you holding it, just now holding it like it was something fragile, it reminded me that maybe someone can hold my story too. The room grew still. The kettle clicked off behind them. Keanu didn't speak. He didn't need to. He just stood up slowly, walked to the kitchen, poured 2 mugs of tea, and brought one to her. They sat in silence, sipping warmth, not rushing the moment. And then Anna did something unexpected. She reached into the bag again, pulled out a small black notebook, and placed it between them. There's more, she said. And if you really want to understand me, I think you should read it. Keanu looked at the notebook. The cover was scratched, the corners bent, but it pulsed with something deeper, not just pain, not just memory, truth, as he picked it up. Anna stood and walked to the window, her back to him now, her voice soft but clear. Just promise me one thing, she said. What's that? Keanu asked. Whatever you read, don't see me as broken. Just see me as someone still walking. He nodded, even though she couldn't see it. And as he opened the first page, he didn't know that one entry would change how he saw her forever, because the notebook didn't just tell her past. It revealed something he never expected and won. Page later, he would realize that her silence all these months wasn't because of grief, it was because of a secret. The page with no Teddy notebook sat quietly in his hands. The pages smelled like old paper and jasmine. Anna had walked away after giving it to him, leaving space, leaving silence. She trusted him now, not just with stories, but with shadows. Keanu turned the first page slowly. The handwriting was soft, round, and careful. It looked like someone who wanted to speak but didn't always have the words. He began to read. The first few pages were gentle. Moments from Anna's early years in Los Angeles. Small roles. Long. Nights. Loneliness. She wrote about audition rooms filled with fake smiles and empty praise. She wrote about being seen but not really known. The pages didn't ask for pity. They just wanted someone to listen. He flipped to another page. Dated 3 years ago, I still see her in my dreams. Lena smiles like nothing happened. She laughs at my clothes. She tells me to stop hiding behind the camera and start looking into myself. I wake up crying but pretending I didn't. Keanu paused. He could hear the truth in every line. Not dramatic, not poetic, just raw. He turned another page, then another. But then came a page that had no date, no margin notes, no doodles in. The corners like the others, just one long entry, nearly filling the whole sheet. Written in darker ink, like the pen had pressed harder, like something inside her had spilled too fast to hold back. He read slowly, each word carving into him. No, one knows this. Not my mother, not my agent, not the directors. I couldn't tell anyone because it would have ruined everything, but it happened, and I carry it like a hidden bruise. Keanu's hands grew still. He read on. I was 22, new in Hollywood. Still learning how to say no. He was older, respected, powerful. He said I was different, special, that I had what others didn't. I believed him for a while. Keanu's breath caught in his throat. It didn't happen all at once. It started with helping me rehearse in private. Then came the favors, the silence, the threats dressed up as compliments. By the time I realized I was trapped, I didn't know how to get out. And when I did, no one would have believed me. Anyway, he stopped reading. He looked up. Anna stood still by the window, her hand on the glass, not looking at him, not walking away either. He wanted to say something. Oh, what words exist for pain that deep? What do you say when someone hands you their scar? He read the rest. He never touched me in public. Never. Raised his voice. So I smiled on red carpets and said nothing. But inside, I was breaking. Every time someone called me lucky, I wanted to scream. The final line on the page was different. I write this not to be saved. I write it so one day I won't feel alone with it anymore. Keanu closed the notebook slowly. The room felt heavier, the air thinner. He stood and walked to her side. Still not saying anything, he just stood near her, not touching, not pressing. Just there, Anna spoke first. I didn't know if I'd ever show that page to anyone, she whispered. Keanu nodded softly. I'm glad you did. She turned slightly, looking up at him. You don't see me differently now? She asked. I see you more clearly, he said. She blinked, eyes damp but steady. I was so afraid it would change how people see me, she said. That they'd think I was weak, broken. No, Keanu said. What I read wasn't weakness, it was strength. You survived something that tried to erase you, and you still show up. Still act. It's to create. That's not broken. That's brave. Anna looked away, biting her lip. A tear slipped down her cheek, but she let it fall. I'm tired of holding it alone. She said. You don't have to anymore, he answered. For the first time in days, she smiled. Small, tired, but real. Thank you, she whispered. Keanu looked back at the notebook in his hand. The rest of the pages remained unread. Stories not yet spoken, secrets still folded in ink. But he didn't need to read them now. He had seen enough to understand the weight. She carried, but then something strange happened. He flipped the notebook closed and noticed something inside the back cover. It was a thin sheet hidden in a stitched pocket. He pulled it out gently. It was a receipt. Small, creased, from a hotel in New York, dated 2 years ago. Signed not by Anna, but by the same man she wrote about, a famous director. Keanu single quotes. He had worked with him once, briefly years ago, and now, without meaning to, Keanu was holding proof. The room suddenly felt colder. Anna saw the paper in his hand and turned pale. I forgot that was in there, she said. Keanu looked at her, soft but serious. This changes things, he said. Quietly, Anna nodded. I know. Have you ever told anyone? He asked. No, she said. Not even my lawyer. Keanu sat down again, the paper in his hand like fire. Anna. This isn't just your past. This is a door. A door to what? To justice, he said. Anna looked down. I'm scared, she admitted. Then let's be scared together, he said. But not silent. The room went quiet again, not heavy. Just full. Keanu placed the receipt back into the notebook, closed it carefully, and handed it to her. You decide what comes next, he said. I'll be here no matter what. Anna took the notebook. Her hands trembled, but she held it with a strength she didn't know she still had. Maybe it's time, she said softly, and somewhere deep in her chest, a knot that had lived there for years finally began to loosen. The silence before the storm. Anna didn't sleep that night. Not because she was haunted, but because for the first time in years she was thinking clearly. The weight she had carried for so long, hidden in letters and folded paper, was now out in the world. And Keanu had held it with care. He hadn't rushed her. He hadn't judged. He had just been there, silent, steady, and human. That meant more than any apology, more than any headline. Early morning light poured through her curtains. The air felt different. She sat at the edge of her bed, fingers holding the notebook, her breath slow. The decision wasn't easy, but something inside her had shifted. The kind of shift that happens after a long winter, when the ground begins to soften and you feel spring coming. At 7:42 a.m., she picked up her phone and typed a message. Can we talk in person? It's time. She sent it to her manager. Then she looked at another name, the director, the man who smiled in every magazine spread, the man who gave speeches about protecting women's voices, the man whose signature still sat in the back of her, Notebook. She stared at his contact, then deleted it. He didn't deserve her voice anymore. She stood up, pulled on a hoodie, grabbed the notebook, and the bag and left the apartment. Keanu was already awake when she knocked on his door. He opened it without a word, just a small smile and a quiet nod. She stepped inside and placed the notebook on his table. "I'm going to speak," she said softly. He nodded again. "I'll call my lawyer today," she continued. "I don't know what comes next, but I want to stop running." Keanu looked into her eyes. "Whatever comes," he said, "you won't be facing it alone." They sat down together, the morning moving slow around them. Anna's phone buzzed. Her manager had replied, "Are you sure?" This could blow up everything. She didn't hesitate, let it 3 days later. The first conversation happened. Anna sat in her lawyer's office with trembling hands, not out of fear but release. She spoke for almost 2 hours, every detail, every moment, every word she had locked away. Her lawyer listened without interruption, then said 6 words that made Anna's heart pause. "We have a case if you want." The days that followed moved fast. Meetings, timelines again, evidence calls, more evidence. And through it all, Keanu stayed close, not hovering. He's present. He made tea when she forgot to eat. He sat quietly when the noise got too loud. He never tried to fix things. He just reminded her with every moment that she wasn't invisible. On a Tuesday evening, Anna received a call that changed everything. A journalist had found out. The story wasn't public yet, but it was coming. It wasn't coming gently. Anna sat in the middle of her living room, holding her phone. The world felt like it was breathing down her neck again. It's not because she was ashamed, but because she knew what came next. The headlines, the doubt. The fire. Keanu walked in with 2 mugs of hot tea. He placed one beside her and sat on the floor across from her, legs crossed. "They know," she said. He nodded, then let them. Anna stared at him. "What if they don't believe me?" "You don't need everyone to believe you," he said. "You just need to speak your truth. The ones who matter will hear it." Anna took a slow sip of tea, then reached into her bag and pulled out the receipt again. "This might be the only proof," she said. Keanu leaned forward. "This," he said, "is your truth. And truth doesn't ask permission." 2 days later, the article dropped. It didn't mention names at first. It only said an award-winning actress has come forward with serious allegations against a prominent filmmaker. The internet exploded. Theories, guesses, comments flooding every platform. Anna stayed off social media. She didn't read the threads. She didn't scroll, but she did get a text from him. "The director, we need to talk. Don't do this." She showed the message to Keanu. He read it and gently deleted it. "He doesn't get a voice in your healing," Keanu said. Anna nodded. Part of her had wanted to reply. Part of her had wanted to scream. But now, silence was louder. The storm truly broke 2 days later. The journalist followed up with a full report. Anna's name was there. So was his. The photo from the hotel. The letter from the lawyer. Her statement, everything. By sunset, her face was everywhere. Some people called her brave. Others called her a liar. Some dug up old interviews. Others sent messages of support. Keanu watched it all from a distance. He protected her space, answered calls when she couldn't, shielded her from the noise. That night, Anna finally looked at her phone again, and what she saw made her heart catch. Hundreds of messages, but one stood out, from an actress she had worked with years ago. "You're not alone. It happened to me too." Anna stared at the message. Her hands shook. Then another message came. "Thank you for speaking. I never could." And another. "He did the same thing to me. No one believed me." One by one, the voices came. Quiet, hidden, but now. Rising, Anna handed the phone to Keanu with tears in her eyes. "They're coming forward," she whispered. He looked at her, a soft smile on his face. "You didn't just open your own truth," he said. "You opened a door for others." Anna wiped her tears, then nodded slowly. But deep inside her, the storm was still moving, because she knew the hardest part wasn't over. The public would demand more. The studios would stay silent. Her next project was already in question and somewhere out there. The man who had hurt her still had power, but for the first time ever, she wasn't afraid of the fight, because now she wasn't alone. The meeting behind the glass door a week after the article came out was quiet on the surface, but behind closed doors. It was anything but. Anna stayed mostly inside. It's not to hide, but to breathe. Every phone call felt like a test. Every new message a reminder that her life would never be the same again. But this time, it wasn't fear keeping her quiet. It was clarity. She was listening carefully to herself, to her truth, to the sound of strength growing slowly inside her chest. The morning started with rain, soft, cold, steady. Keanu knocked gently, holding a box of breakfast and an umbrella. He didn't say anything when she opened the door. Just walked in and set the food down. Anna smiled faintly. "I keep thinking it'll get easier," she said. Keanu poured 2 coffees. "It won't, but you'll get stronger." He was right. After breakfast, her lawyer called. "Anna," he said, "they've asked for a meeting." The studio. Anna's heart skipped. What kind of meeting? A private one. Executive office. Closed room. Just you, me, and them. Silence followed. Keanu looked at her from across the room, sensing the shift. "Do I have to go?" she asked quietly. "No," the lawyer said, "but if you don't, you might lose the film. And your voice won't be in the room." Anna closed her eyes, then opened them slowly. Set the meeting. The studio was glass and steel. Cold lighting, perfect smiles. It's the kind of place that always looked clean, even when something ugly was happening inside. Anna arrived with her lawyer beside her. She wore black, no makeup, her hair pulled back, no actress mask, no performance. Keanu waited outside in the car as she had asked. Not because she didn't want him there, but because she needed to walk this part alone. "You'll be okay," he said before she stepped out. Anna nodded. "I know, because I'm not doing it for them." She walked into the building, her boots echoing against marble floors. On the top floor, past the elevators and security and double doors, 3 men waited behind a polished table, all in suits, all with polite expressions that didn't reach their eyes. Anna sat down. "Mr. Armas," the man in the middle began. "First, let us say we're deeply concerned by what we've read." Anna's lawyer interrupted softly. "Concern is not the same as action." The man coughed. "We understand, and we're here to listen." "Truly." Anna said nothing. They continued. "You have to understand. These things are complicated. Reputations are involved. Careers. Timing." Anna raised her eyes. "So are lives." The men grew quiet. One of them looked down, the younger one, nervous, maybe new. I just want to say I read your statement, and I believe you." Anna looked at him, surprised. A crack in the wall, but the lead executive shifted. "I appreciate your honesty, but we need to be realistic. If this moves forward publicly, there are risks for you, for us, for everyone." "Are you saying?" Anna asked calmly. "We're asking you," he said, "to consider a quieter resolution. Something that doesn't involve the press or the courts." Her lawyer leaned in. "You're offering a settlement?" "Not in those words," the man replied. "Just peace." Anna smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. "Peace." She repeated, "After everything?" He shrugged. "Trying to protect everyone." Anna stood up slowly. "No," she said. "You're trying to protect him." The room stilled. "I didn't come here for money," Anna said. "I came here to see if you would stand for something. Now I see you won't. Not really. Not unless it's safe." The men fidgeted, uncomfortable. Her voice was calm but sharp like glass. "You should know," she continued, "there are more women, more stories. And every time you choose silence, you're choosing him." The lead executive stood now too. "Mr. Armas, please," but she had already turned. "Thank you for your time," she said. "I'll make my own peace." Walked out with her lawyer, her heels clicking like a drumbeat down the hall. Outside, the rain had stopped. Keanu stood waiting by the car. His eyes searched her face. "How'd it go?" he asked. She opened the door, slid in, exhaled deeply. "They offered me silence," she said. "I chose noise." Keanu smiled gently. "That's the Anna I know." Ass. They drove away. The clouds began to part. The city looked the same. Something inside her dead. She had expected fear. What she felt was fire. That night, Anna opened her notebook again. She turned to a blank page. And for the first time in years, she didn't write about pain. She wrote about power. About walking through glass doors and leaving the shame behind. About not asking permission anymore. Keanu sat across from her reading a script. He looked up as she put the pen down. "What's next?" he asked. Anna smiled. "I think it's time I spoke in my own words." "To the world? An interview?" he asked. "No," she said. "Something better." 3 days later, she stepped into a quiet studio. No lights, no makeup team. Just one camera, one chair, and one message. Anna sat down, looked straight into the lens, and said, "My name is Ana de Armas. I'm not afraid anymore." Her voice, the world, and what came after Anna sat in that simple chair. No lights, no rehearsals, no director, just her truth. And this time, she wasn't hiding behind lines or a role. Her voice was calm, her eyes clear. For a long time, she began, I told myself the silence protected me. I convinced myself that forgetting would be easier than remembering. But silence was never peace. It was just the echo of fear. The camera didn't cut. The room didn't blink. For the next 13 minutes, Anna spoke clearly, directly, not for pity, not for headlines, but for those who had lived what she lived and never found the words. She told her story. The abuse, the manipulation, the way she smiled on red carpets while something inside her shattered. She didn't name him. She didn't have to. Her story had already filled the spaces his silence tried to erase. She ended with this. To anyone listening, I want you to know you are not alone. And even if your voice shakes, use it, because your story is not too small. Your pain is not too invisible. And your truth is not too late. The screen went black. Keanu sat in the control room, headphones in hand, jaw tight with emotion. He didn't say a word. When it ended, he stood up and walked into the room. Anna was still sitting there, hands folded in her lap. He walked over, sat beside her, and simply said, "That was everything?" Anna looked at him. "I was scared the whole time. That's how I knew it was real," Keanu said. Brave isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing truth despite it. They sat in silence, letting the moment settle. Around them, the video went live 2 days later. At first, it moved slowly. A few shares, a few reposts. Then a comment thread grew. Then a celebrity reshared it. And then it exploded. Millions of views in 24 hours. Not just the industry, not just her fans, but people around the world. Young women, survivors, quiet voices who had waited years to feel shine began to respond. She spoke what I couldn't. Gave me courage. She's not just an actress. She's a mirror. Anna didn't hide from the attention. But she didn't chase it either. She stayed grounded. Still showing up to sets. Still reading scripts. But this time, her head held. Higher, her back straighter. Her heart lighter. The man she spoke about. He responded with denial, released statements, called it misunderstanding, tried to shift blame, tried to call her confused. But the world didn't buy it this time, because Anna's voice wasn't alone anymore. 6 more women came forward within the month. Then 2 more, then a former producer who had stayed silent for a decade. By the end of the year, an official investigation was opened. The director's upcoming film was pulled from distribution. His contracts were frozen, his power finally questioned, and Anna, she wasn't chasing justice to destroy anyone. She was doing it to rebuild herself and protect others, and she did. On a soft spring afternoon, months after the world had shifted, Anna and Keanu sat at the same studio where it had all started. The same wooden chair, the same quiet corner. But everything was different now. Anna carried the same leather bag. But now, it wasn't heavy. She placed it down beside her and looked around. It's strange, she said. This place used to make my chest tight. What about now? Kiana asked. Now it feels like the beginning of something, he smiled. You've changed a lot. Anna shook her head. I think I just became myself again. They walked outside together. As they stood beneath the wide sky, Keanu turned to her and said softly, You know, that day you left the bag. I thought it was an accident. Anna laughed gently. It was. And it wasn't. How so? Part of me forgot it, but part of me, maybe, wanted someone to find it. Someone who would understand. Keanu nodded. I didn't do much. You did the only thing that mattered, Anna said. He listened. A breeze passed between them, soft and full of promise. Months later, Anna stood on stage at a global summit, not for a film, but for a cause. She had become a voice. For survivors, not the face of a movement, but the beating heart of one, she spoke. With the same clarity, the same honesty. But now with peace behind her words, and Keanu sat in the front row, clapping with quiet pride. The world didn't fix itself overnight. Justice came slowly, and healing, even slower. But step by step, voice by voice, truth by truth, Tothana proved that even the smallest voice can shake the walls of power, and sometimes all it takes to change a life is a forgotten bag, a man who chooses kindness and the courage to tell your story.